Shine bright like a diamond.
That's Rihanna on Fabulous 103.
Like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. So shine bright.
Taking us to the moment where we catch up with our special guest this morning. In the studio, Mr. Tim Shearer. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, thank you, Tommy, and my thanks for Fabulous 103 FM having me on today.
That's our pleasure. We've never had anybody from the American Embassy before because usually Americans are scared to come on 103. But you've shown no signs of fear whatsoever.
Fabulous 103 FM does have a bit of a reputation, but despite that, we decided to stick our neck out today.
You were desperate.
But I wanted to apologize for the rather intrusive personal security pat-down a moment ago, Tommy. I hope it wasn't too disgusting.
No, it was. I enjoyed it because she was female. Yeah, if it had been a man doing it, it would have bothered me.
She's still outside if you'd like to do another round.
I'm going to.
Okay.
As soon as we have a break, I'm getting out there, getting another pat-down in a minute. Now, you are... Let's get this right. You are the Consul General.
My normal job title is Consul General, which sounds like a military rank, but in fact it just means that I'm responsible for consular operations throughout the Kingdom of Thailand.
Right.
That includes things like visas for Thais. But more of interest, I think, to your listeners, American Citizen Services, which includes things like passports, notarials, which is a big subject.
Oh, you issue passports here?
We do, quite a number, in fact.
Okay, it's a bit different, isn't it? Because the UK, we have to send home for them.
Well, we actually take the application here in Bangkok. We submit it electronically to a passport center in the United States, and then they DHL it back. So it takes about 2 weeks.
That's cool.
If there's an emergency, though, if you lose your passport at the airport and you need it to go quickly, we can issue you a temporary emergency passport, usually same-day service.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, you're also a stand-in. You're the stand-in for the Deputy Ambassador because the Deputy Ambassador is standing in for the Ambassador because you haven't got an Ambassador.
That's true. I'm sort of a cardboard cutout at the moment because our former Ambassador, Glenn Davies, departed Thailand at the end of September. We're waiting for the White House announcement for the new nominee to be Ambassador to Thailand. In the interim, we have a gentleman, Mr. Peter Haymond, who's called the Chargé d'Affaires d'Intérim, which is a French expression which means we don't know where the ambassador is.
Okay, yes, fair enough, yeah. No, I got to ask you, so if the British ambassador leaves, doesn't matter when he leaves, we know who the new ambassador is going to be very quickly, and usually before the old one leaves, and there's a handover and, shaking hands ceremony. You lot did a lot different. When are you going to get an ambassador?
That's what people are asking me, and including the Thai government. The answer is a process a little bit more complicated than the UK side. The ambassadors serve at the pleasure of the U.S. President. The president actually makes the nominations.
The president chooses.
The president chooses
the ambassador.
Chooses the ambassador because that person actually becomes the president's personal representative to that country.
Okay.
So in the U.S. system, traditionally about 2/3 of the ambassadors have been career State Department diplomats. Basically.
Okay, so just so I understand this, so really, it is. They may not be politicians, but an ambassador from America is a political animal. I mean, he's being chosen by a politician who has got certain politics already. It's not done by a foreign office or anything like that. It's actually chosen by the. What happens if, let's just take an example, Obama that you had before, right. Say he chose Joe to be his ambassador and Fred and Bill and everybody else. When Obama left, gone, new president steps in, he's then got ambassadors around the world that he doesn't like.
Well, that's true. And in fact, the day that a U.S. president goes out of office, all U.S. ambassadors are required to submit a letter of resignation.
Really?
That is true. The incoming president has the option whether to accept that letter or not.
And traditionally, I suppose he doesn't, because otherwise he'd have chaos, wouldn't he?
It depends. So, as I mentioned, about 2/3 of our ambassadors are professional. That is, they came up through the ranks in the State Department. About 1/3 are political, typically campaign contributors to the president's campaign.
I'm sorry, I got to ask you this, because you said it, not me.
Yes.
So 1/3 of ambassadors around the world for America are typically campaign contributors.
That is correct, and that tradition goes
How much does it cost to buy yourself as an ambassadorship?
that tradition actually goes back to the 1800s or so. It's nothing,
Really?
nothing new, correct. So
Wow.
typically business people who have formed links with the incoming president's campaign, by links I do mean campaign contributions.
That was a cruel question, wasn't it, really?
No, it's not a secret. I mean, it's something that has been in place for 100 years or so.
Wow,
That doesn't mean that every political ambassador has bought his or her position.
Just that some have.
It just means that
We're not very fair to you, are we? Sorry, Tim.
but there are. But we do find that many so-called political ambassadors turn out to be excellent ambassadors because many come up from a business background and are used to negotiating contracts and
Right.
used to working overseas as well.
Oh, you have a president now who is a businessman and he's running your country like a business, which I have to say, I'm not into politics, but I admire the fact that he's got that concept of actually trying to run it as a business and not a charity. So he obviously drawing people from business as well into being ambassadors.
We have noticed the president appointing people with business backgrounds, and particularly military and business.
So who are we going to get in Thailand?
We're still waiting, but if your listeners are interested, you can go onto the White House website because they announce the nominations every day.
All right.
So you can go to whitehouse.gov.
Okay, they're just working out who's paid more money into the contributions to decide who gets Thailand.
But again, that particular category of ambassador tends to be the minority. The majority are professional ambassadors who have language, have area skills. They know ahead of time what they're getting into.
Right.
And they have the.
Okay, so let's look at you. You were born in Germany. You're an Air Force brat.
Right.
You were Spangdahlem.
I was at Spangdahlem Air Force Base, which is near Trier in northern Germany.
Beautiful area. That is a really near Bitburg. It's a really beautiful area. Then you went back to the States, graduated. You've been all over the world as a diplomat.
I have. Europe, Africa, Northeast Asia, now Southeast Asia. And I have to say, of all the countries I've been, Thailand's my favorite.
And you speak fluent Thai?
I did. They forced me to learn.
Well, actually, hang on a second. I found this little quote somewhere. Let me just try and find it, because I need Megan's glasses to find it. I should have had it just there straight away, shouldn't I? Undergraduate degree, master's degree, blah, blah, blah. Here you go. 12 years ago, you were given the Linguist of the Year award in recognition of exemplary achievements and extraordinary command of Thai.
That's true. But again, that was 12 years ago.
We can test you. We can bring Thais in and test you with long words.
That's why I was hoping that little bit wouldn't have survived. We sent the biography to you.
Well, no, that's a real achievement because it's a very difficult language.
It's difficult in some ways. Some ways easy, I would say, in terms of grammar and things like that. But you're right, it's a tonal language. But it does give you an insight into Thai culture. So for your listeners who are taking Thai, I would say keep at it. Because it really makes it, you're saying Thailand much better.
If you want to be the British ambassador, I happen to know, you have to go on a Thai language course, or if you go to Korea, you have to go. Do Americans have to do the same?
It depends on the position. In my case, I actually took my Thai language course at a language institute that the State Department runs outside of Washington called the Foreign Service Institute. So for 44 weeks, I did nothing but study Thai.
Really?
I had no work responsibilities at all.
And you got paid for that?
I got paid for it.
Wow.
And it was like going back to college. In
44 weeks?
44 weeks nonstop. And so it was just like in college. I had a backpack. It was great.
You must have been absolutely fluent at the end of 44 weeks.
I could barely say a word, but then I got here to Thailand and sort of relearned the language by watching Lakorn, the soap operas here in Thailand. That helped me quite a bit.
So we have a chargé d'affaires, who is, a Consul General, who is the Deputy Ambassador at the moment, who spends his spare time watching Thai soaps.
That is correct, yes, and there's some good ones out there.
Which one do you prefer?
Well, there's one on channel. I'm sorry, I can't advertise.
No, I just thought it was. Now, you guys have been busy. We're not going to go into all the news because it gets politics. Then we're not into that. But you have been busy. Glenn Davis has gone. You guys are running the embassy now. Would you think February you'll have a new ambassador?
Again, it's hard to say. Once the president nominates the new ambassador, there's a confirmation process in the U.S. Senate. There'll be a Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing where the ambassador is questioned, tested basically for his or her suitability. And then the committee reports out to the full Senate for their advice and consent on whether that person will be the next.
So the Senate has to approve it?
They have to approve it.
Oh, right. Like judges?
Like judges, right?
Correct. Right, okay.
Yeah. So there is a confirmation process, sometimes smooth sailing, sometimes for more controversial countries, less smooth.
Do you get paid more while you're doing this extra job?
Oh, no, I don't.
That's terrible.
If any of my listeners have any contacts in the White House, please file back.
Write to him and say you deserve more. How many Americans in Thailand?
We're estimating for long-term stays, we're estimating about 75,000.
75,000?
The entire Kingdom of Thailand, correct.
There are 75,000 Americans in Thailand.
That is correct.
Where do you put them all?
Well, they're scattered all over the country. A lot of them are actually in Chonburi province, about 2,900 here, about 15,000 up in the north in the Chiang Mai area. It's a very popular area for retirees. The rest are scattered in Phuket. There's a large contingent down there. Some in Hua Hin, which is also popular. And believe it or not, some people actually decide to stay in Bangkok in their retirement, although I'm not quite sure why.
Now, there's a good, interesting question. 75,000 Americans living here in Thailand.
Right, these are long-term residents.
I don't know if you'd know this, but how many are ex-military that were posted in Asia or have come? Is it still? Because that must be getting less and less.
It's getting less and less. Simply because time is passing.
Right.
But that contingent of former Vietnam veterans, they tend to settle in small villages in the northeast, in Isan.
Right.
So we do know there are a number of those people still here. But again, the numbers are dwindling.
And where do you have consulates?
We only have one consulate here in Thailand, and that is in Chiang Mai.
Oh, okay.
So we have an embassy in Bangkok and a consulate in Chiang Mai.
Because you can do everything on the internet now with a telephone call.
Pretty much so.
But you do give support, same as the other consulates do around Thailand too.
We do. So the consulate in Chiang Mai is responsible for the 14 northern provinces, and then the embassy in Bangkok covers Isan, central Thailand, and southern Thailand.
Okay. We're going to have some music because we're getting close to the local and national news. When we come back, I want to talk to you about visas and retirement visas specifically. And we've already spoken to the British Embassy, who told us, because they were the first, you just followed on. To be fair, the British and you were in conversations. The British announced it first, and you sat back and thought, let the Brits take the flak, which we watched you do. And we go, but we knew you were going to do it. That you're not going to be issuing letters of income verification anymore. We're going to talk about that after the news.
Very good, Tommy.
Are you ready for that one?
I'm ready.
Even in a nice way?
No, that's why I'm here today. Thank you.
We'll be coming back to that after this.
Right.
Feel It Still, Portugal the Man on Fabulous 103. Our guest still in the studio, the American Consul General, Tim Scherer. Still with us?
I am. Thank you, Tommy.
Good. Before we talk about visas, let's just look at the way things work. Mm-hmm. The American Embassy in Bangkok is one of the largest that you have as a country.
It is. In fact, we think we're number one in the world, even larger than Baghdad and Kabul.
How many staff do you have here?
We have a total of 1,800. Of which about 2/3 are Thai and the remainder Americans.
Wow, that's an awful lot of people.
It is.
But you actually issue visas within your embassy and you issue passports within your embassy.
We do, but of course the U.S. Embassy is much more than just the consular section. We have actually 40 different U.S. federal agencies represented at our mission in Bangkok. So
have you got the DEA there?
DEA's there.
And CIA?
I can't say that. but many agencies are there.
Right, yes. Many agencies are there. Yes. I can't mention that one. But what are they all active here?
They're very active. In fact, many of them are active on a regional basis. So Bangkok serves as a regional platform for the Mekong lower region. So many of the programs, like, for example, USAID perform, they do in Laos, Cambodia, Burma as well. So it's about 20% of our effort is towards health programs here in Thailand.
How many visas do you issue every year?
We have about 75,000 applications for what we call non-immigrant visas.
Right.
Another 2,500 for immigrant visas that are people who are going to live permanently in the United States.
And what do you think, what percentage of those actually get approved?
We approve between 75 and 80%.
Really?
Yes.
So it's a good chance.
Good chance. There's sort of an urban myth here in Thailand you can't get a visa
Yes.
in the US embassy. I'm not sure why that is, because a lot of Thai friends tell me that.
Oh, you see it on the internet. Oh, you'll never
is.
get one to America.
Right. If you look at pentip.com, they'll say, there's no chance, don't bother. But in fact, we issue the great majority of people who apply. I think it might be because people refuse visas, tell 20 friends, and people are issued visas.
Well,
maybe tell their mother.
Yeah, the guy that just met her 3 days ago and has fallen in love, you're not going to give him a visa. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Well, simply, for the visitor visa, we basically try to determine whether that person is sufficiently situated here in Thailand, sufficient social, economic ties here. So we recently...
Good reason to come back. Same as the Brits.
Same as the Brits. So that's basically it. There's no secret formula.
Right.
We don't ask for a certain set of documentations, but we look at the job, whether they traveled anywhere else, if they have family ties here.
Right,
so we look at the whole family situation, basically.
About 8 years ago, you were working with the Asian Regional Refugee Coordination in Bangkok.
Yes.
Now, you were working with ethnic Burmese refugees who you were offering the chance to move to America.
That is true. About 10 years ago, we opened a large-scale refugee resettlement program for the 100 to 120,000 ethnic minority Burmese who are in the camps along the Thai-Burma border.
How many of those did you offer the chance to move to America?
We offered to everybody.
120,000?
But not everybody took us up.
Where are you going to put them? Oh, you've got plenty of land, haven't you, in America?
We have a lot of land. So about half of them expressed interest. And so for those half, we spent the last 10 years basically processing them for departure and arrival in the United States. And there are actually some small towns in the U.S. which have substantial ethnic minority Burmese populations right now.
First language Burmese, second language English.
That's correct, yeah.
So, because there is the other myth, of course, that, well, it's not necessarily a myth, because your current president is very anti-immigration. He wants America for Americans. Is that going to slow you down?
There has been some effect in the change of administrations on our worldwide refugee admissions program. Every year, the Congress and the President agree on a quota for refugees to enter the U.S. The quota last year was relatively low, about 30,000 per year.
Really?
Global.
And previously it was what?
It was over 100,000.
Wow. Okay.
So there has been a slowdown in the global movement of refugees to the United States. That is correct.
Does that affect visitors too?
It does not. No.
It doesn't affect a visitor.
There are no quotas for visitor visas.
Oh, okay. So just knock 70% off the normal quota for people actually moving to the States.
Correct.
Okay. So you have the largest embassy in the world, in Thailand.
Right.
There's no bigger embassy than the American embassy. I've seen it. It's quite a big frontage as well. It's very impressive. You help people apply for, actually the word is extensions of stay, but visas to stay in Thailand.
Correct.
Which is retirees and people who are married to Thais.
Correct.
The British consul was in here telling us before, and we did know that you were involved too, that you and they didn't tell us about you, by the way. He would not comment on you.
Oh, thank you.
Every time I said, what about the Yanks? He said, oh, no, can't possibly comment on that. But we did know that you and they had been in negotiations since February with the Thai immigration people, trying to explain that the letters that you issue, you cannot guarantee somebody's income. His statement is correct.
That is correct. But I would like to clarify this wasn't a conspiracy between the U.S. and U.K. embassies. We had come separately to the conclusion that we could no longer do what's called the income affidavit.
Why couldn't you? Because the difference between the British embassy and you is that the British embassy, once you're an expat, you don't pay English tax. With Americans, if I'm wrong, you can tell me, but with Americans, as long as you're an American, you have to do a tax return every year.
You have to do a tax return every year.
Wherever you live in the world.
Wherever you live in the world.
And pay tax.
Not pay tax necessarily. So only above a certain annual limit of income are you required to pay taxes on? So the limit actually increases a little bit every year. This year, I think it's $120,000 per year. So if you make less than $120,000 while here in Thailand or another country, you have to file, but you don't have to pay.
Right. Now, we've had lots of messages coming in from people. $120,000 a year.
Right.
Under $120,000 a year, you don't have to pay tax.
You don't have to pay.
But you do have to do a tax return.
You have to do a tax return, correct.
And if you've done a tax return and show that you've got $40,000 a year coming in, then that's a legal document that says that they've earned over 1 million baht. So why can't you use that to guarantee their income?
For the Thai retirement system now? That's certainly one option that we've recommended to Thai immigration as we explore this transition period. We do understand in our discussion with Thai immigration that they're looking towards a system where they won't really look at foreign documents like U.S. tax returns or British pension statements for the monthly qualification for the retirement visa.
Right, so because sorry to interrupt you, two different ways of we'd look at the retirement one because that's the big one. Either 800,000 baht in the bank for 3 months.
In a Thai bank.
In a Thai bank, yeah. Or the equivalent of 60,000 baht a month as an income.
That's correct.
Before, everybody was happy with 60,000 baht going into a bank anywhere, like in America. The equivalent. Now, we were told by the British Embassy that, and they were quite adamant about this, that they had discussed this with immigration in Bangkok, and immigration in Bangkok, the head office, had said, we will be happy, we don't need you to certify any letters, but we would be happy to see a bank statement showing 60,000 baht a month going into the applicant's bank account.
Correct. The change here it'll have to be a Thai bank account.
That's fair enough.
Because at the monthly income qualification before, there was no stipulation that it be in a Thai bank account.
Right. But so now it needs to be in a Thai bank account.
That is the direction it is going, as we've been told as well by Immigration Division 1 in Bangkok.
And how many months' income do they want to see?
We're still negotiating with them. We want to make sure that there is a effective transition period for those who've been relying on the income verification letter prior.
When are you going to finish negotiating and have a deal? Because you're stopping at the end of this month.
We are. I'd say in the next couple of weeks we'll be hearing from Thai immigration what their final decision is. But I think it's important to point out that the income verification will still be valid for 6 months.
No, only if you've got it now.
Well, if you've got it now.
But if you haven't got it because you didn't realise,
right,
you're not taking any more applications now, are you?
On January 1st, we will no longer be notarizing the income verification letter, which we had previously been notarizing.
Right, but what's the cut-off date for that? That's January the 1st is when you stop notarizing them. Right. When will you stop receiving them to be notarized? Because I'm sure you've got a little pile sitting in front of somebody with a little stamp.
Oh, no. We have to have the person come in and take an oath, and then we notarize it. So there's no backlog.
Oh, right. That's how you do it, is
exactly. So it's a normal notary, as though you're selling a house and you want to do a...
Well, you see, in America, you use notaries. In England, we don't do that. So a notary public. You actually have a notary public there.
We do. We do. More than one. In fact, today we're opening the embassy. We're closing to normal business. We're opening it for a notary day. So we expect to have 500 people come in today alone to do the income affidavit, and we'll notarize it. And
wow.
They'll leave the embassy with the document. So there's no backlog.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But you're only notarizing their signature.
We notarize the signature and verify their identity, and that's all we've ever done. And I think that's something that Thai side did not quite understand. They thought we were actually verifying the income, which we have no real reasonable way to do. American retirees typically have income from several disparate sources, a little bit unlike the European system, where in some cases you have a national pension system.
Well, you couldn't live on that, mate. Honestly, if you haven't got a private income, you'd be shot.
Well,
maybe you could, but you'd be living in a
cardboard box.
Yes.
Yeah, but for Americans, it's basically Social Security, which is sort of the common income stream. But most Americans...
How much is Social Security worth to a pensioner?
It depends. I think the average, it depends on what you've made over your employment lifetime, but I think the average Social Security payment is about $1,300 a month.
But which isn't 60,000 baht.
Which is not 60,000.
Okay.
So, but again, most Americans have several different income sources during retirement. They simply can't depend strictly on Social Security.
Right. Now, when we were talking to the British, a very lovely lady, told us that they had been in negotiations with immigration in Bangkok, the main office, and that this had been agreed about the bank statements, which is nice if you live in Bangkok. The problem comes with the fact that nobody seems to have dissipated that information down to regional immigration offices. Now, I feel sorry for the guys in Pattaya, in the immigration office, because they haven't been told officially that this is acceptable. So people are going in, they've listened to 103 or they've read it somewhere, and they're saying, no, I've got bank statements, and they're going, well, it's no good to us, because they don't know. What are you doing to encourage your immigration partners in Bangkok to get this information out to all the other immigration offices?
Our understanding right now from Immigration Division 1, which again is a headquarters in Bangkok, is that they expect to have the new police order, which is the basis for the requirements for the retirement visa, out in early January. So the discussions that we've been having with the Thai immigration to date have been sort of a forewarning of what's coming. So the recent Pattaya immigration hasn't heard about this, is that they haven't received the police order yet. It hasn't come out.
You're sure this is going to be in the police order?
That they've told us this will be in the police order. In fact, we've seen a draft.
Okay, so what's going to happen to somebody after the 1st of January?
Well, after the 1st of January, the best solution is to have a existing retirement affidavit in your pocket, because that'll be valid for 6 months. So if you come in on December 31st, the last day, and get that from us, you're good to go, basically.
You close Christmas?
We are closed Christmas, I'm sorry.
Just Christmas Day?
We're also closed on Monday, sorry, so the 24th.
Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve.
2 days you get?
President Trump gave us Monday off, yes.
He's a generous man, isn't he?
He is indeed.
Are you getting paid? I'm only asking, isn't there this thing again going on where the budget's not been approved in America?
That's sort of a separate issue. We're hoping that'll be solved by...
I bet you are.
By Saturday at noon, our time, which is when our current appropriations from Congress run out.
Oh, you don't get paid at Christmas. Oh, that would be sad, wouldn't it?
That would be sad, yes.
Going back to this thing, which is really, really critical now, it's like a lot of things seem to be. Everything is left until the last minute.
Well, we've been speaking to the Thai immigration about this from last spring, last May or so. We made formal presentations to them to let them know this was happening, in the hope that they would start adjusting their policies to make the transition easier. They've delayed it a little bit longer, to be honest with you, than I had hoped. But
are you going out and visiting immigration offices?
We were here in Pattaya last week to talk to the deputy superintendent here. We were in Chiang Mai about 2 weeks ago. Went to Phuket and also Udon Thani all in the last 6 weeks or so, just to talk to the local immigration offices to let them know about this change and to basically smooth the way. Because we have noticed in visiting the various regional immigration offices, there's some slight discrepancy in policies, which we reported back to Immigration Division 1 in Bangkok, and hopefully they can straighten things out.
Okay. So, but obviously they can't accept it until they get this order come down from...
There has to be a police order. So
right.
The current police order, 77-22551...
Oh, you're good at this, aren't you?
I memorized this one. Is the one which leaves open the possibility of showing your 65,000 baht from any source. But that's going to change according to the draft that we've seen. 55,000 baht per month.
It's not 60,000, it's 65, is it?
Let me make sure I gave you the correct information.
Pregnant pause.
It is 65 indeed.
Wow, okay, because we understood it was 60, so it's 65.
65,000 per month.
Okay.
So that's for the monthly option. The other option is the one you mentioned earlier, that you can put in one lump sum of 800,000 baht.
Yeah, which everybody's got just sitting around. Yeah.
Yes, I has been my briefcase right now.
Yeah. There you go. We'll rob you on the way out.
Right, yeah.
Our guest today, if you're just tuned in, is the American Consul General from the American Embassy in Bangkok. He is the Vice Ambassador at the moment, stand-in, Tim Shearer. He's going to be back with us in a couple of minutes. We're going to have a song taking us to a pause for the cause. Any questions you have, you can still send them in to us. Camila Cabella on Fabulous 103 with Havana. Our special guest in the studio today is the US Consul General and the stand-in as Vice Ambassador or Deputy Ambassador at the US Embassy in Bangkok. You've emailed in a lot of questions. A lot of them have been nothing to do with him, saying, where is Fabulous Facts this morning? And that your brain cell needs the burning question of the day. I think we're going to do that now, but we're going to just... You know what? I'll be honest, Tim. Everybody now knows that what you do for a living and how many people work in Bangkok and you know, and about what is it?
The boring things.
Yeah, but we want to test your brain cell.
Okay.
We want to see what your brain cell is like.
Okay.
All right? And we do this exercise every day. I'm going to give the burning question of the day out in a minute. We play a song while people come up with the answers so that the brain cell doesn't have to work too hard. But I got some truth or false, actually it says truth or BS questions, and I thought we'd just see what you think the answers are and see what our listeners think the answers are. Okay, ready for this?
I'm ready.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was created by a department store in America. True or false?
False.
True.
Oh.
Loser. It was called Montgomery Ward Department Store.
Montgomery Ward.
Yes.
I should know that. We call that store Monkey Ward.
Well, obviously you don't know what they do.
Obviously.
So you failed so far.
I
It's
failed.
one down. Okay.
Can I go now?
No, yeah. Two of Santa's reindeer were originally named Dunder and Blixen, not Donner and Blitzen. True or false?
True.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Okay, so you're even now.
Any German sentiment?
Poinsettia plants are poisonous to humans.
Correct.
False.
Oh.
You can eat them. Well, I don't know if you can eat them or not, but they're not poisonous to humans.
Okay.
Christmas cards date back to 1843.
1837, I think.
False. It's 1843. If I give you a date, just trust me. Power companies in America, only in America,
Right.
are fining customers for keeping their holiday lights on for too long. True or false?
True.
False.
Really?
Yes.
They should.
Why? Because you've got a neighbour that's got all those lights
Yes,
stuck on the
yes,
side of their
yes.
house, driving everybody mad.
Yes,
no,
indeed.
so you're actually in a losing situation now.
Oh, okay.
I guess this is the make or break because you're about one down.
Right.
In Canada, Santa's postcode is HOHOHO, so ho-oh-ho. True or false?
I think that's true, actually.
Yes.
Yes, I'm even.
So you're average.
I'm even.
Master's degree, you've travelled all over the world.
I made it to the...
Number 2 American in the whole of Thailand, and you're average.
Average.
That's it.
Can I go now?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm going to give you the burning question of the day. Now, you're going to have a song like everybody else to come up with the answer for this. And this is for our listeners. 60% of us have never done this during the holiday season. Okay, don't give me the answer now.
Okay.
Give me the answer after Phil Oakley.
Okay.
Phil Oakley there on Fabulous 103 FM, together in Electric Dreams. Now, I've got to explain to you, Tim, so that you don't butt in.
Yes.
Right, because I know, you're American, so you want to get there
do butt in
first.
quite often.
Yeah, you want to be there.
You do.
American, I'm American, I get it, yeah.
You do.
I watch The Simpsons, I know how you people are. So, the burning question of the day, we give the question to our listeners, and we have a pause before they give us the answer.
Okay.
After that pause, before I give the answer, I'm going to ask you what you think the answer is.
Okay.
All right, now, at the moment, you're average.
Average.
That's the best you've done.
Correct.
Okay, so we've got to see if you can do a bit better than
Feeling
that.
rather average at the moment.
Never mind. Okay, the burning question of the day then for our listeners. 60% of us have never done this during the holiday season. Now's the time to test your brain cell. Give me the answer loud, give me the answer proud, and give me the answer now. No, not you. I'm talking to our listener. I'll tell you in a minute when you can talk. Because Americans, they come in, this is what they do all the time, isn't it? Come in, move in, dominate. Right. No, I've got to ask all over again. What do you think the answer is? Pretty close, probably, our listener's question. All right, Tim, now it's your turn to make yourself into star on the radio.
Is it my turn actually now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you can go.
So my guess is that 60% don't actually send Christmas cards.
Oh, that's very good.
Maybe I'm speaking personally here.
I don't anymore anyway. I think when you live overseas, well, you can put them in a diplomatic bag, but it takes us a month to get them anywhere.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort to write those cards. So.
Yeah. Don't you have a little stamp?
I'm thinking of getting one.
Well, your answer's wrong, by the way.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, but
What
it's a very good answer, I have to say that, because things have evolved, haven't they?
They have.
How old are you? Sorry to be rude.
I was 60 last week.
Your child, I'm 61.
Wow.
So, I mean, when we were kids, everybody, your mantelpiece, the stairs going up, everywhere's covered in cards.
You kept them for years, basically.
Hallmark shares must be worthless.
I just think they've closed the factory down.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yes.
So, nevertheless, you got the answer wrong.
Oh.
I think our listener got it right. This is a very interesting one. Because 60% of us have never done this during the holiday season. This is kissing under mistletoe.
Oh.
Fabulous 103 FM.
So let me ask you a question, Tim. Have you ever kissed under the mistletoe?
I'm in the 60%.
You've never done it?
I've never done it.
You really?
I'm not sure I'd recognize mistletoe.
It's got little leaves and it's got poisonous white berries on it.
Why would anybody kiss under a poisonous plant?
Because you hope it drops on her and you can replace it next year.
Oh, I see.
So,
Okay.
but just looking now, we've talked about that. You've never kissed under the mistletoe.
I have not, and actually in my career as a diplomat, I've never been asked that question before. So this is.
I'm surprised.
Yes.
I am surprised. I would have thought it's part of your training.
No. I'll suggest they do introduce that.
Your wife is Thai.
She is. We've been married 34 years.
Thai bride.
Thai bride.
Same as the rest of us.
That's right.
Wow. And she's toured all over the world with you?
She has, sometimes reluctantly, but she's happy to be back here in Thailand.
I bet she is. So where does she come from in Thailand?
She's from Bangkok.
So she's right where she wants to be. She's got all the family around her
Never
now.
leaving again, from what I can tell. Yeah.
And you have 2 daughters?
I have 2 daughters, grown now, but they'll be coming back to visit me next week here in Thailand. They both live in the United States.
Oh, they're coming over here for Christmas and New Year?
They are indeed, yes.
That's cool.
Yep.
Do they speak Thai?
They speak a little bit. Both of them went to the international school system in Bangkok, where they don't really learn Thai in sort of a...
And you moved around the different countries as well?
We moved around a lot as well. So they were in Africa and Europe, in other countries in Asia as well.
So you're going to be sitting down as a family at Christmas?
We will.
Around Somtam and turkey.
Correct.
And you're going to be doing all the traditional things, but... Oh, by the way, we got a box of crackers for you.
Oh, great.
Do you know what
Thank
crackers are?
No.
Good. They're not crackers like you eat crackers.
Are they biscuits? What you Brits call biscuits?
God, there's something about Americans, you just can't get it through. It's culture. It's just something. I'll explain it in a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to play a song for your family so that they feel in the Christmas spirit. And if your wife's listening, she'll go out and get some mistletoe, and you can do it for the first time this Christmas.
That's very exciting. Thanks, Tommy.
Ryan Adams on Fabulous 103, When You're Gone at 26 minutes past 11. Now, before I drop the needle on the Beach Boys, you already know by now our guest is the American Consul General, Tim. Doing very well. While that song was playing, you've noticed that we have CCTV.
I do notice.
Which we only installed yesterday to keep an eye on your guards, make sure they don't steal stuff.
Okay.
I went out to have a little visit to the restroom. I went to the restroom. Because I said toilet, you probably wouldn't understand. So I went to the restroom.
Thank you. Did you rest?
No, because that woman got me, the guard, and she said, "You're going to give him crackers?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "And you don't eat them?" I said, "No, you don't eat them." I explained to her that they're a cylindrical thing that you pull between you. And when you pull it, it explodes.
No explosives.
Exactly. When I got to explode, 4 of them hit the deck, right? And she goes, "Well, you can't give him anything that explodes." So I don't know how we're going to give. We could take the explosive bit out from inside.
Tommy, I startle easily, so let's pass on the whole thing.
I just think, no, just take it into the American Embassy and do them all at the same time.
I'll do it when I
That would be so cool.
That would be cool. I'll do it in
Fabulous 103 explodes in the American Embassy. It could be a news story tomorrow.
It would, in fact, be a news story.
I have to ask you a question. One of the questions that's coming from our listeners this morning. Now, we were talking about extensions of stay and visas here.
Right.
And we've talked about the fact that you need 65,000 baht a month coming in or 800,000 baht in the bank.
Correct.
That's for a retirement visa.
Correct.
A marriage visa is less.
Correct.
This gentleman's emailed in and he says there was a third option, which is a combination of money in a Thai bank and monthly income, adding up to a certain balance. Is that still going to be accepted under these new regulations?
Excellent question. So the draft police order that we've seen does in fact preserve that third option, sort of what we might call the combo option.
Okay, let's just get this. preserves. What does that mean? It's still in.
It's still in.
It's still a deal.
It's still there. So the last draft that we saw still had it. It's still a deal, basically.
Okay, you've only seen a draft. You're not worried about this. It's a draft. It's not like black and white. Or is it guaranteed that's the way it's going to be?
Not 100% guaranteed, but we've heard that Police Commissioner Surachet has, in fact, signed off on it. So,
okay.
So at the working level, we're told that the draft that we've seen will, in fact, become reality in early January.
Okay, so the deal is that it's either 65,000 baht a month going into a Thai bank account.
Thai bank account, that's the change.
800,000 baht in the bank for 3 months or more.
Thai bank account again.
Or your Thai bank account, or a combination of the two that adds up to a certain figure that we're not quite sure what that would be.
That's correct. If you want to check the actual figure, the figures haven't changed. You can go to the Thai Immigration Bureau website, www.immigration.go.th.
Right.
They have an English explanation.
Okay, but obviously this is still provisional. It's not. It's going to be approved early next year.
Correct. But we've been assured that the draft we've seen will, in the basic amounts, indeed, or will be preserved. Will continue on in the new.
Brilliant. Okay, fair answer. I'm glad you knew the answer to that one, which is more than you could do with our burning question of the day.
Yes, I know. Finally, I'm above average. So
no, you're not.
I'm not.
No, because you got the burning question of the day wrong, so you're below average.
But I just answered this one correctly.
You had it written down. That's us. We're Fabulous 103 FM right here in Pattaya. It's 20 minutes to midday, 20 minutes till the afternoon. The studio guest this morning, American Consul General Tim Scherer. Tim, you had a couple of little messages that you wanted to get out to Americans here about special offers available from the American Embassy right now.
We do have a Blue Page special this week. Thank you, Tommy. There are a couple of things I wanted to mention. One is for U.S. citizens, you have the opportunity to renew your adult passport by mail. It's not necessary to make the trek into Bangkok anymore. If you take a quick look at our website, that's th.usembassy.gov, G-O-V, it'll tell you how to do it. The only additional cost is 100 baht for the registration of the package. And also a word to the wise for expats overseas. It's a good idea to register with the U.S. State Department. It's the program is called the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, and you can do it online. It's step, step.state, state.gov. And basically, you go online and give us your passport information, where you are, and any countries that you may be traveling to in the near future. What we'll do is we'll keep you up to date on any sort of security-related incidents in all those countries that you've indicated you might be traveling to. Information is confidential. It's all protected by the Privacy Act of 1974. If your ex-wife in U.S. calls and asks to get in touch with you, we'll politely decline.
You will?
Yes, we will.
Oh, okay.
Unless we have a Privacy Act.
Is my husband in Thailand? Because I know what he'd be doing if he's over there. I need to see him now.
We get 20 emails a day like that. We all say,
really?
Yes, we do. We all say, I'm sorry, man, we cannot reveal that information. So the information is secure with us, so please don't worry about that. You will hear news from us. For example, the change in the income verification affidavit we did announce back in October through this program. So it's a good way to keep in touch. It's a good way to let keep informed on travel conditions and wherever you plan to be.
Brilliant. So you do a lot for your 75,000 Americans.
We do as much as we can.
That's a huge number of people. 75,000 people. Can they all vote?
They can all vote unless you have a criminal record.
Americans with a criminal record can't vote?
In some states, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do their votes get counted?
They can't vote.
I mean the expats.
Oh, the expats, yes. The expats.
Do they get counted after you decided who the president is or before?
Well,
I'm just sorry.
The voting is administered by the individual states. So in most cases, there will not be a final announcement of the state totals until all absentee ballots are counted. Sometimes in some states, they're counted afterwards, but the vote counts.
Where do they go to vote? Do they go down to the American Embassy?
No, we're not really a city hall type setup.
Right.
But what we can do is we can give you a ballot request form, and we'll actually mail it for you once you filled it out, and it goes back to your state of record. and then the state
So
gets
they
in touch
do
with you.
go into the embassy and fill this form out.
If you'd like to, or else we can give you the form. We can mail you the form as well.
Okay,
So, but
that's cool.
it's basically a two-step process. You get the form from us, and then your home state sends you the election ballot.
Interesting.
Please do vote. It keeps the entire project going.
Yeah. It's a popular project, is it?
It is a democracy. You mean? Yes, it's a rather popular
I'm
project.
sure democracy is pretty popular. Yeah.
Yes.
But the actual voting for expats.
It's very popular. It's very
Yeah,
popular.
the
Particularly
people
the last
still want to
couple
have a
elections.
say in it. Yeah,
They do. It's heartwarming to see so many Americans still involved with
Now,
the U.S.
This is just a personal opinion I'm
Sure.
going to ask you for now. Yeah, you're 60. I'd just
Right.
like to remind you of that. You
I
are
remember
60.
I thought of that twice this morning already. Yes.
I'm a few months older than you. When we first started out doing whatever we were doing, which sometimes wasn't very good, because when we were younger, you were a backpacker
I was a backpacker here in 1982.
in the days when you didn't wash and stuff like that, and
Exactly,
shave, and you
yes.
thought you're dead cool. And we did lots of things that we wouldn't want our parents to know about,
Oh, we did?
didn't you?
I guess maybe I did.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, I'll fess
We'll
up.
find out
I'll
what
fess
check
up.
is, yeah. How different do you think, how harder do you think it is for politicians, embassies, diplomats nowadays in this world where you have mobile phones with telephones, social media, fake news, which your boss is really keen on, isn't he? Fake news, it's fake news. Trump really hates that, doesn't he? How much do you think that's affected what you do in life?
It has affected consular work. We get a lot of what we call welfare and whereabouts inquiries about American citizens here in Thailand. People basically, they haven't been in touch with home. Back in the old days, if somebody went quiet for a month or so, then the embassy would get a worried call from a relative. Now, if they haven't checked in on social media in the last 8 hours, sometimes we'll get a call from a worried mother or other relative in the United States. So the fact that instant communication is possible has upped our workload, to be honest with you.
Right.
We normally, tell the U.S. Worried party, please relax. That there's no indication anything has happened to your son or your daughter, but we'll do our best to get in touch with her.
So what do? Little Johnny from Wyoming
Right.
has flown over here.
Right.
His first time away from home. Mummy doesn't hear from him, or he's not on Facebook for like a couple of hours, because normally he's on there like, I'm going up in an elevator.
Right.
I am sitting in a public convenience.
Yes.
So all of a sudden he doesn't post for a couple of hours, and Mummy sends you a message. How long do you, I mean, because in America, if you put a missing persons report in, 48 hours, isn't it?
It is. We're a little bit more proactive than that because relatives are worried when they're teenage backpackers, as I was one. They're traveling overseas. So normally we'll ourselves check their social media platform to see if there's any activity. If not, we'll see if they're actually registered with us through the
That registration thing you were
If
talking
they have
about.
the registration here, then hopefully there'll be some way we can contact them. And if we're able to get in contact them, we won't say your mother is looking for you. We'll say, please get in touch with your mom. Basically, that'll be the extent of it.
Oh, okay.
But we won't release the information on where the person is and that type of thing.
So you must have a guideline. When do you actually take it seriously? Like a week or something like that?
No, the first day, actually.
Really?
Yes, first day.
That's a lot of work.
It is, and we do things like we check with immigration just to make sure they've actually entered the country, because sometimes they're on Southeast Asia swings and they might be in Laos or Cambodia as well.
Well, there you go, folks. Anywhere in the world, if you haven't heard from your son or daughter for the last 3 hours, send a message to the American
Would you
Embassy.
stretch that out to about 24 hours, please?
You've been a great guest.
Oh, thank you, Don.
I have to thank you so much
It's been
for joining
wonderful
us.
to be here. It's, embassy work can be dry sometimes, so it's great to be an assistant DJ for a morning. Thanks
And
for
you've
inviting
been
me.
really good at dropping the needle on records. You've done a better job than me.
Oh.
Will you come back and see us again?
I'll be happy to. Thank
We'll
you.
look
Thank
for
you
you're
for
the
invite.
first American from the American Embassy
really?
ever to dare to come on our radio station.
Well, you have a bit of a reputation, but in any case, I hope everybody understood my accent, because
Everybody understood you.
It's not the accent that's usually presented, I guess, on your show.
No, it's not.
No.
Going to see you again. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much for being with us.
I really-
Seriously.